Hello, Oracles! Well, we are seeing Tesla stock running into Investor Day. We kind of anticipated this coming. The market was green today, but Tesla was significantly more green. So, does this mean that we are going to be getting a sell off and a sell the news situation? Or are we going to get a further run up after Investor Day? We'll dive into both scenarios and what we could potentially see in just a minute. All right, so as we have been talking about, we saw this cup and handle forming, and we are forming the rest of this handle right now, consolidating around this $200 level. When we see this type of consolidation going on, usually means it is going to lead to a breakout or a breakdown. Typically, after a cup and handle pattern, you would see a breakout. However, when we saw this back in September, we broke down. So we will wait and see what happens after this Investor Day, but I have a feeling Investor Day is going to be the day that is going to cause us to move one way or the other. Now, right now, we closed at this 207.63 level. And if you guys can see here, that is almost exactly on this line at 206.85. So within $1 of being a resistance level. So we've been bouncing off of this, and above us, we've been bouncing off of that 213 to 214 level. So the big question is, will we have enough momentum to push us past those two levels? So looking at the RSI, we are at 62. We are no longer overbought. However, if we do push up to those two levels, to that 214 level, it will put us back into the overbought range. So if we do end up pushing that level, are we going to get enough to break us past that, or are we going to bounce off again and then come down? I have a feeling if we bounce off of that 214 level one more time and do not break it, we are going to be coming down relatively hard, similar to what we saw up at that 313 level. So one of the questions I have next is, we have seen a lot of retail money coming into the stock over the last 2 months. So does retail still have more money left to be able to push that stock even higher? We know that big money was buying that stock around that $110 level. Is the $210 level a price that big money wants to buy? So the question is retail depleted with how much money they can put in? How much of this money is options and margin? That we don't know, and that's a big question. A huge reason we saw that big bubble kind of pop from the last 2 years was because there was a lot of options and a lot of margin. Many people have been saying that margin is a place you do not want to be right now. Even Elon himself has been saying this. So again, margin is dangerous, but there are still some people out there who are using this. Question is, how many and how much? And so going into the tweets to see what everybody thinks about whether we're going to see a sell the news situation or a further run up, Farzad coming out here, Tesla investors, buy the rumor, sell the news, has been a hallmark of this stock. Tread lightly, not financial advice. And then we've got Lee over at Tesla Economist saying, Tesla Investor Day FOMO kicking in for Tesla stock price. And so my take on this is just that. Is this FOMO that's coming in? Now, is this FOMO justified? Are we going to get information at Investor Day that Wall Street's going to love and the stock is going to skyrocket after this and we never come under $200 again? That's a question that can only be answered after Investor Day. But again, as Farzad said, we've seen this happen time and time again with the stock. Many a time we have the buy the rumor, sell the news situation. So for me, that is the way I'm looking at it. I do think we are going to get a sell-off after this event. However, I don't know if it's going to happen immediately afterwards or if it's going to happen a little bit later. Some other information that we are getting in also when it comes to the macro environment and things that could potentially cause the entire macro environment to come pulling back down, which in turn would also bring Tesla down, are situations like the China and Russia situation. We've had some talks about them going on right now. We have had word that if China and Russia do decide to have an alliance, we will basically be going to World War III. Don't know if that's actually going to happen, but again, the fears and discussions about that could be enough to pull that stock market down and cause a big, massive pullback. And then, of course, when we have information coming out about the government saying, yes, it was definitely a leak over in China that caused COVID-19, this could be another reason why the US is going to have tensions with China and maybe put some more sanctions on there, causing even more turbulence with all of this. That could be another reason that we end up seeing the market pulling back. And then we've got this tweet coming out from Market Rebellion saying that Morgan Stanley sees the first Fed rate cut in March of 2024. Morgan Stanley previously expected Fed to cut in December of 2023. And now the Fed all along has been saying basically March of 2024 is when they are going to first look at potentially cutting rates. That has not changed at all over the last year and a half. So, with that said, a lot of big companies like Morgan Stanley have been anticipating maybe a cut coming sooner. And this way the market cheered that. And now they're going back to what the Fed had said originally, which is basically March of 2024. So if the market had started pricing in a sooner rate cut, and now the market says, ooh, you know what? Based upon the PCE data that we just got, CPI and PPI, there's a chance that we're not going to see the Fed cutting rates until 2024 again. Then the market could be selling off for that reason as well. And now on the positive side of things that could cause the stock to go up, we've got Open Skies tweeting out, congrats to Tesla Giga Berlin Brandenburg team, 4,000 Model Ys built this week. So over in Berlin, we now have a run rate of over 200,000 vehicles annually. I have no doubt that we will be pushing up to that 5,000 vehicle range very soon. Don't forget, it was just a little over 2 months ago that we hit 3,000 vehicles per week. And Austin reached 3,000 per week right around the same time, so I have no doubt we will be seeing Austin at 4,000 per week very soon. So this is now two factories ramping very strongly going through this year. So the production is very strong. And in other good news, Sawyer Merritt tweets out, news, Ford loses overall loyalty award to Tesla after 12-year run per the S&P Global. Quote, on top of its overall loyalty to make recognition, Tesla scored repeat wins for highest conquest package and alternative powertrain loyalty to make. The combination of an active return to market consumer base and the majority share of BEV sales were contributors to Tesla's loyalty program this year. However, the brand's resonance with ethnic consumers was a key driver in its recognition of loyalty improvement and diversity retention. So the way I look at this news here is this isn't news that's going to make the market get very excited. The 4,000 vehicles per week out of Berlin and soon to be Austin, definitely great news to see. That is stuff that is showing the fundamentals for the company are still extremely strong. Seeing the loyalty confirms that on the demand side of things, the consumers are definitely strong as well, and that demand is also strong on a fundamental level. So we are seeing this news, but it's not that kind of news that's going to move the market or say, oh, the stock is never going to come down again. So when I start putting these two together and I see there's heavy macro potential of the market coming down, and then there's the positive long-term stuff that we have been seeing for Tesla, Investor Day is going to be that kind of pivotal swing. Now, again, whatever information we get at Investor Day still might not be what's going to cause the stock to run in the near term. Maybe we get a little excitement boost out of it, but it could still be something that we pull down because of the macro environment. So the way I am looking at all of this is it could potentially be a sell the news type of situation. And with a deep macro issue going on, we could end up seeing the stock pull down strictly because of the macro. I know there's some of you out there who don't think that the macro is strong enough to pull Tesla down. All I can say to that is look at last year. We all thought the same thing. Nearly everyone. Many of you did say that we were going to see a pullback, and kudos to you for calling that early on. But most of us on here didn't think we were ever going to see the stock pull down to these prices, but they did. So I cannot rule anything out, and the macro is always going to be heavier than Tesla. So this is just something I'm paying attention to. And don't forget that with all of that retail money coming in over the last 2 months, Tesla buy options was by far and away much more than anyone else when it came to the stock movement and buys. So options are huge for Tesla. These options are things that people might move out of if they see things going sour because of the macro environment or because of the sell the news situation, which could cause that to come down even faster. When we look at retail buyers putting in as much money as they did over the last 2 months, if a lot of that money came in the January timeframe, we could have potentially seen 70, 80, 90% gains on a lot of that money. If that is the case, and a lot of that money was in options, that could all be magnified. That's massive profits that a lot of people in retail are sitting on right now. We are basically in a swing traders market. Options in Tesla are the biggest of anyone. So if that's the case, we might see a lot of these options swinging in. And if they see that signal that the stock is going to sell off, they might be taking those profits and pulling it out, waiting for the next pull down to do that swing again. I don't know any of that specifically, but it just stands out to me that it's a potential that we could see. So I just wanted you guys to have that in the back of your mind and brace yourselves. If it does happen, you'll understand why. I'm not saying it's going to, but if we see it, at least you'll have an understanding. And the question of why are we pulling back? That's most likely going to be the reason. It's not going to be something Tesla specific. It's just stock market specific. That's all. So let me know in the comments below, what are you guys doing with the stock? I know many of you guys are just buying and holding. That is what I am currently doing. I'm not selling any. I did sell out my few shares that I wanted to in my IRA. And at this point, I'm just waiting. But you guys can let me know in the comments below what you are doing. Are you one that's swing trading? No judgment here. If you want to take some profits, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, heck, if you doubled your money in a little over a month, I don't blame you for wanting to take some profits, especially in this kind of market. Then my thoughts are if we're going further down the road and we get into a recession and some people need some money, selling the stock to get that money to pay some bills might be what they end up doing. So, just saying, you guys let me know what you're doing in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.